The American silver dollar is by far one of the most collected items in coin collecting as a hobby, and today we are going to be exploring their deep and interesting history as an in-depth guide. Hi, my name is Spencer from SFM Coins, and today we will be discussing an in-depth history on the American silver dollar. It all started with the flowing hair silver dollar, produced between 1794 and 1795. It was designed by Robert Scott. It was composed of 89.24% silver and 10.76% copper. Its weight was approximately 27 grams, and it is anywhere from 39 to 40 millimeters in diameter. This coin is absolutely beautiful. It has Lady Liberty on it, facing to the right with her hair flowing behind her, and the reverse has a small eagle surrounded by a wreath and the words United States of America. So this coin is really special. This is actually the first dollar coin struck by the United States federal government. All the examples that you will ever find were struck in the Philadelphia Mint, and there was only 2,000 of these made. However, before they were released for circulation, they destroyed some because they weren't fit for circulation. So that made only 1,758 actually go out to circulation. However, there is only a handful of these left. They have been destroyed throughout the years, lost, whatever. So there's only a handful of these left. They're super rare, they're super beautiful looking, and I wish we had more of them, but it is what it is. Following the flowing hair silver dollar in 1795 through 1804, we have the draped bust silver dollar, also designed by Robert Scott. It is composed of 89.24% silver and 10.76% copper. It weighs roughly 27 grams, and it has a diameter of approximately 39 to 40 millimeters. So this obverse is very different from the last one. It is not as majestic as I would say. It does have Lady Liberty. It's a draped bust of Lady Liberty facing right. And there were actually two major designs for the reverse for this coin. So 1795 through 1798, there was a small eagle surrounded by a wreath. And then the 1788 through 1804, it is called the heraldic eagle. It is a larger eagle with a shield on its chest. Like I said earlier, this is the first coin that Lady Liberty seems more formal and less godlike, I guess you could say. The 1804 dollar, fun fact, was actually never struck in 1804. It was actually struck years and years later, from the years 1834 to the year 1835. This is because President Andrew Jackson actually wanted a full set of draped bust dollars to be given as a diplomatic gift. They didn't have in 1804, so they made them over 30 years later. This coin is actually nicknamed the King of American Coins. Now, this one technically counts as a silver dollar. However, not a lot of people know about it, so I'm actually hoping to educate a lot of people on this because they're beautiful. Hard to get your hands on one unless you get lucky and have the money to purchase it, but regardless, this is a full in-depth history, so we are going in-depth. This is called the Gobrich dollar. From 1836 to 1839, this is what America had as its silver dollar. It was designed and named after the U.S. Mint engraver Christian Gobrich. It is composed of 89.2% silver and 10.76% copper. Its weight is approximately 26.7 grams, and it's a little bit smaller than the ones we've talked about previously. Its diameter is approximately 38 to 39 millimeters. Now, the obverse is Lady Liberty sitting on a rock holding a shield, and the reverse had a couple different variations. The similar pattern was it did have an eagle flying left and it was surrounded by stars. However, there are a couple of different variations of these, so I will put them on the screen, but that is just the overall gist of it. So this is actually the first silver dollar in over 30 years. Like I said earlier, it was named after Christian Gobrich, which was the U.S. Mint engraver. The Seated Liberty dollar, which is next on the list, has the same obverse, so they carried the obverse design over. And there were only 1,900 of these Gobrich dollars ever made over the 3-year production period, which is why I said earlier, if you're lucky and have the money, these are some of the most beautiful silver dollars you will ever see, and it's just a shame how there's so little of them. But if you do like the design of the Gobrich dollar, like I said earlier, you are in luck because from 1840 to 1873, we have the Seated Liberty dollar, Also designed by Christian Gobrecht, it is 90% silver and 10% copper. So this is the year that America decided to shift to 90% silver. Its weight is 26.73 grams, and its diameter is anywhere from 38 to 38.1 millimeters. Its appearance is pretty similar, as I said earlier. The obverse is Lady Liberty sitting on a rock holding a shield, like the Gobrecht dollar, and the reverse is an eagle flying left, and there are multiple varieties of this as well. They will be on screen, but varieties do vary. So, fun fact about this, the California Gold Rush actually made this coin's silver melt value worth more than its face value. So due to this, people were hoarding them and melting them down to make a profit off of the silver melt value itself. So these got destroyed a lot, so there is a lot less of them than there initially were. That is one of my favorite coin stories to tell. It's very interesting, and it's kind of sad because I wish we had as many as we should have, but history is history. Now, my personal favorite entry on the list, from 1873 to 1885, we have the trade dollar. This was designed by William Barber. It is also composed of 90% silver and 10% copper. Its weight is 27.22 grams, and its diameter is 38.1 millimeters. The obverse shows Lady Liberty sitting on a bunch of merchandise, hence why it's the trade dollar, and she has an olive branch in her hand. And the reverse shows an eagle holding an olive branch and some arrows. And on the bottom, it actually says 420 grain, 900 fine, aka the weight of the silver, 90%. This coin, its primary purpose was actually not to be spent in the US circulation. It was actually made for international trades. That's just why it's called the trade dollar, which is why Lady Liberty is sitting on a bunch of boxes and other merchandise. So it was actually made to compete with the Chinese and other Eastern Asian silver coins that were used in trade during that time. And 1884 and 1885 trade dollars were actually never supposed to be made. It's unknown why they were made. I don't know if someone working in the mint had a bright idea, but 1884 and 1885 trade dollars were never actually supposed to exist to begin with. Now, the most common, the most popular one on the list is the Morgan dollar, minted between 1878 and 1904, and then once again in 1921. It is designed by George T. Morgan. It is composed of 90% silver, 10% copper. It weighs 26.73 grams, and it has a diameter of 38.1 millimeters. I'm sure you've all seen these ones. These are some of the most popular coins to collect in coin collecting history, especially in American coin collecting. You can find these in very nice condition for how old they are, and I will explain why in a second. But first, let me explain its appearance. The obverse is a large portrait of Lady Liberty facing left, and she's wearing a cap. And the reverse is an eagle with outstretched wings and is holding an olive branch and arrows and is surrounded by a wreath. So like I said, you can find these in really nice shape for how old they are. And the reason being is because millions and millions of these sat in government vaults for decades and decades in bags, in other forms of storage. And because these were stored for decades and decades, it really helped them stay a high grade. So during the time these were produced, America actually didn't have a lot of silver to be making their silver dollars, which is why there was a ginormous break in their mintage years. Between 1904 and 1921, there was no silver dollars minted. And that's because they completely exhausted a majority of their silver supply making these. But it returned in 1921. But then, in 1921, it was replaced by the peace dollar, which was minted from 1921 to 1928, and then once again from 1934 to 1935, and then once again in 1964. This was designed by Anthony De Francisci. It composed of 90% silver, 10% copper. It weighs 26.73 grams and has a diameter of 38.1 millimeters. This coin shows Lady Liberty facing left, and she is wearing a crown of what looks like rays. And the reverse has a bald eagle perched on a rock with sunlight behind it, and the word peace on the bottom. And the reason it's called a peace dollar is because this coin was actually designed as a symbol of peace following the end of World War I. The first coins of this series, the peace dollar, were actually struck in high relief in 1921, and this made them very difficult to make. So there is a very rare variant called a high relief peace dollar. I will put a picture on the screen here. But due to them being hard to punch, the relief was lowered beginning in 1922, and it made mass production a lot easier. So production initially ended in 1928 after the mint completed its silver dollar obligations from the Pittman Act. If you don't know what the Pittman Act is, I will just put something on the screen here. But production briefly returned in 1934 and ended in 1935. Hey, Editing Spencer here. Really quick, I did forget to mention why they brought it back in 1964, and that is because there was a big coin shortage then, and there was a lot of use for silver dollars still. They were being used quite a bit, so they brought it back in 1964 to try to combat a coin shortage. Sorry, I forgot that. It won't happen again, I promise, but very interesting. Okay, back to the video. And sadly, this is the last silver dollar that it was made of 90% silver that was struck for circulation purposes. Now you might be thinking, like, what about the American Eagles and stuff? But they were not struck for circulation. Those are collector pieces. So strictly for circulation purposes, that is the end of the American circulation silver dollars. If you want me to make a video about other forms of silver, I plan on it anyway, but if you really want to see that, let me know, comment, like the video, let me know what other videos you want to see. I am sorry for my hiatus. I have been really busy. I don't really have an excuse. I have been wanting to make this stuff. I have felt unmotivated. I've been in a lot of places in life, but I have started doing short form content, and I will continue to do short form content, and I want to post more long form content. I have so many video plans, and I keep adding to the list. I want to make an in-depth video on as many coins as I possibly can. I like educating. I like talking about this. I could talk about it for hours and hours. If you guys want to, check out my website I am building. It is live, but not even nearly finished. sfmcoins.com. Follow my socials on TikTok. I have a Twitter/X. I don't really use it, but I wanted to claim the domain. And I also have a YouTube, obviously. You're here. Hello. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Show the support any way you can if you want to. My name is Spencer from SFM Coins, and I promise you I will see you very, very soon. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next one.